Get to know the babes behind the brand as they talk business, women supporting women, and share what it's really like to work in the fashion industry.
Welcome back. Donni Ray. I'm founder and creative director of Privilege, and I'm here with Leah and Bailey.
Hey, it's Leah, Director of Operations or Operations Manager, whatever.
It's Bailey, marketing manager or hunter, I guess.
The
crocodile
I don't know
hunty.
if I'm supposed to cut it off there.
I think you should officially call yourself Crocodile Hunty.
And I'll just say it really seriously.
Put it in your
And
signature.
none of our guests will know what that means, and I'll just be like, yeah, you
got to go back to the podcast. Good luck finding which one it is.
You have to listen to every episode.
We're going to give you no hints.
to find out what we're talking about.
All right, let's intro our wonderful guest who's sitting here. She's a certified personal trainer, group fitness instructor, and entrepreneur. This boss babe is the creator of Love, Sweat, and Fitness, a health and fitness community that inspires women around the world to find their happy, healthy, hot body. She not only inspires women to achieve their goals, but she also shares her journey openly along the way. Welcome, Katie Dunlop from Love, Sweat, Fitness.
Hi, ladies.
Hello. Thanks for being here with us, Katie.
Absolutely. I'm so excited.
Well, you're also like a super brave soul because we're on the 33rd floor at level, and you are terrified of heights.
Thank you. Yeah.
So brave.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
We're
But, you
just
know, this
getting
is...
her all liquored up.
Yeah, a little glass of wine never hurt.
Yeah. It's so amazing. I had no idea. And then when you came in, you're like, yeah, I feel a little off. I'm totally afraid of heights. Like, this could not be the least ideal
it's
situation.
beautiful. It's like windows absolutely everywhere. But
And then we started to talk about how people fall off balconies.
Yeah.
Just to make you feel extra comfortable.
I'm really good at making people feel comfortable.
I'm literally sweating. So
Yeah.
it's fine.
We are excellent hosts.
Don't worry,
welcoming.
I'm sweating out last night's alcohol too. So
Oh my gosh. Well, let's jump into our Q&A portion. Donni, do you want to kick us off, or should we take this collective one?
Yeah, we're doing a collective one, Leah and I. We have put a lot of time and energy into working ahead on our wholesale collection.
Yeah.
And I feel like can successfully say that we're working on spring 2020.
Spring, summer 2020 is in the works.
Which is like just a boss for us. People might not understand that it's so hard to get ahead of the game.
We've been talking a lot with our manufacturer about calendars. It takes about, I can't say this for every business, but on average 14 months to get a collection together. And that is a collection that we manufacture completely ourselves. That's from design to sampling, the whole process. And that's because we have a small-ish collection. If we were doing 30 to 40 pieces, it would be 2 years out.
Yeah.
So we feel really good about that.
I feel good about that. And I feel like at some point we need to just acknowledge the wins. And I think that's one of them.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And I'm pretty stoked about what we've come up with for holiday 19.
Oh my gosh. Every collection that's upcoming, I can't imagine not owning every piece.
Yeah, I'm pretty into it.
It's so good.
It's going to be hard to live that minimalist lifestyle that we keep talking about and do our job.
Marie Kondo would be so disappointed in us.
But it's all sparking so much joy.
Yeah, I'm so joyful about what's coming up.
What about you, Hunty?
I'm going to take a boss because I finally unpacked my suitcase into our nice closet.
Stop.
Yeah, I never do that. And
What an adult.
I know.
I feel so
snapped-
proud.
I took a photo and sent it to Caitlin last night, and I don't have you on Snapchat, Leah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you could have texted it to
Are
me.
people still using Snapchat?
These people.
We just have group chats.
I
in there,
haven't gone on it.
Donnie, I think it's a 20s
We're too
thing.
old.
We're too
And
old.
Carly's on it.
Oh, well.
The other old girl in the office.
And Katie.
I don't know.
The other old girl.
Just text me. Just text me a video. What's so
Yeah.
hard about that?
Okay, I'll do that next
Group
time.
text.
Promise.
I may mute you.
Yeah, exactly. That is the real reason I don't send it to
It's
you.
a real problem. I might do that.
What about you, Katie? What's your boss or bust?
I think boss, so I totally am with you guys on the getting ahead thing. I think that as an entrepreneur and running a business is probably the hardest thing and the biggest thing that we talk about constantly is we need to get ahead, and we are actually getting ahead. So we have our big challenges every year where we do our spring slim down challenge and our summer shape up challenge, and our goal has been to be at least 3 months ahead on shooting and production of all those. Wow. And this is the first time in 5 years we are actually meeting our target and actually ahead, and it's
Oh, what a good
That's
feeling.
pretty impressive.
Yes,
Oh,
I mean
yeah.
it's major, and it's one of those things where like, I mean, there's still so much to do, so you never feel like you're totally ahead. So to your point, like taking that moment and like actually patting yourself on the back a little bit and recognizing that it is a big thing, and seriously, the first time.
You really do have to celebrate those things along the way because it's so easy to get caught up in the next thing.
Yes.
So like, I think that's what's great about Boss or Bust is you can take a moment and be like, yeah,
I did
this
it.
is working right now.
Yeah, like without this podcast, when do you ever like sit down and be like, I'm feeling like a real boss today, and like celebrating those little things?
Well, I think
totally.
there's so many busts all the time, right? Like that you, it's so
you get
easy to
hung up.
recognize all the little busts. So
And
yes,
it's
this is
also
good.
like, I'm like such a joker, so I will tend to like highlight the busts in my life
Right.
and
Yeah.
talk about them, which can have a negative effect of just like manifesting the negative.
Well, and then
Totally.
it makes it actually, I think there's something scientifically, it makes your brain trained to recognize that over positive.
Exactly. Yeah. But the podcast has been really good for me because I'll write them down as I think of them because I'm always looking for content.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's good.
Donnie, weekly obsession.
Okay, weekly obsession. I know my sister used this one last week, but Dirty John. I have been binge watching Dirty John, and I'm finished. And have you watched it?
No, I listened to the podcast, but I haven't actually watched the show
I
yet.
have. Yes, I
Have you
heard
not
there was a
listened?
podcast.
Yes.
No.
Okay. Yes, you have
It's
to.
just I just highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It's so I think really important that we are like aware of these type of people, and I think you really need to protect yourself from narcissists. So I think it's like a wake up.
Yeah, no, the podcast, I'm so interested in watching the show because the podcast was like kind of terrifying as you listen to it and like realizing like how manipulative he was and like everything that he was able to do, and that's a lot.
And I tend to fall like so for every like narcissist there's an empath, right? Like a person that like really like that kind of like doesn't realize it, and I'm like just care about everybody. I truly am an empath, and trying to be aware of that is something I'm working on.
Yeah.
Because you can like be victimized.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Anyways,
We're all going to have to check
watch
that out. Hunty, weekly obsession.
Mine is I realized that Spotify has these playlists that are for your horoscope.
Oh.
Yeah, so they like curate these songs that will go to your monthly horoscope.
into it.
Yeah.
That's a great
So
one.
And it's like a
Crazy.
super broad, like all types of music. Anybody can really like it. And it's like all songs that like you should be using or like you should be listening to based on like
What's your sign?
horoscope. I'm a Libra.
You're a Libra. Okay. I'm a Can. Is that an air sign or a water sign?
I think it's an air sign. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm a Cancer, and I feel like I'm like easy breathe. I feel like it's very true for me.
Yeah, mine is like so spot on. I can't even.
But I was gonna I kind of thought you were a Cancer. Like I could see you being what I am for some reason.
I don't know.
What about you, Leah?
I am obsessed endlessly with Smart Sweets Swedish fish.
Oh, so good.
I can't stop. I
like the Sour Buddies. I'm like those are my favorite.
The texture of the Swedish fish.
They nailed it.
Oh my gosh.
Have you
I
tried
can't
Smart
stop.
Sweets? Do you guys
No,
have
but you
them
know
down
what's so funny is when I was in Vancouver, my girlfriend showed me, and we didn't try them, but she was like, these are the best thing ever. Oh my gosh, they're
Yeah.
so addictive.
You need
so when
to
you said
try
that, I was
them.
like, I know what they are, but I don't know if we have them here.
There's
I
like
haven't
3
seen-
grams
them
of
at Whole
sugar.
Foods.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Whole
okay. I
Foods.
was gonna say Whole Foods if anyone probably
Yeah.
has them. Okay.
There's like 3 grams of sugar, and it's from like the sweetener that they use is fruit juices.
Oh, okay.
They're so good.
That's awesome.
And it's like,
Swedish
but literally,
fish.
there's like
Like
20
candy.
grams of fiber in a package. There's no
crazy.
sugar, alcohol,
Yeah.
so it's not like chemicals.
Right.
There's no
Mhm.
chemicals.
no.
It's
That's
just like
awesome.
it's
Fruit
real.
juices.
It's really not bad for you.
Right. So if
It
you
doesn't
want a
taste
little
like a
something-
standard candy. It's slightly different, but they nail their textures and flavors so well.
And there's a sour one. Is that what
There's
you
a
said?
sour one.
I'm a
I like-
sour,
There's a few.
like,
Are you?
sour
Yes.
candy girl. Yeah.
So good. I just think
You
they
have
nailed
to go
it. We
try them.
actually podcasted with the founder, and she's like one of my like endless boss babe
Oh my gosh,
crushes.
that's amazing.
She's so amazing.
Because she just has built this amazing company, and she's like this young 20s blonde girl that you would never ever assume would have built this empire.
That's so cool.
impressive.
I
She's
love that.
amazing.
Highly recommend, and like
Go pick
especially
some
if you're
up.
in like the fitness field.
Yeah.
It's just like such a great way to like fill your sweet tooth without like that guilt.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I like that.
My
they're
kids
sour.
don't know the difference between that. and
No,
like candy.
you
Well,
can't
if they-
tell.
If they haven't like been having all the other junk and processed stuff, like then especially then it's so much easier. Just
Even
to
if I put like
transition.
and my kids have had like regular sweets, but like if I put like regular gummy bears beside them, they would probably still choose the Smart Sweets.
Yeah.
Because they actually taste good.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
they do.
Yeah.
I love that.
Katie, what is your obsession?
Okay, so mine is I'm more like mentally obsessed with
Mm-hmm.
this because I feel like I had a moment this week, and so I feel like everyone's gonna be like, yes, we all know this.
Okay.
It was one of those moments where you're like, what? Like my whole world was flipped upside down. Okay.
Okay.
It's so weird.
I'm dying.
I legitimately just learned, please don't let me be the only one, that you're supposed to shave with the hair. Like in the direction your hair grows on your legs.
I shave against
On
all my
your
legs. I
legs?
shave up.
I do too. That's what
You're
I'm
supposed to shave down?
Yes.
Stop
No.
it.
Yes.
No, stop.
Oh my God, I'm so happy I'm not the only one. Okay,
You're
my
li-
husband
Kate-
was like,
Katie, you're lying.
no, I'm not. Okay, I saw this. I think it was like
No, I
Refinery.
can't believe
Someone
it.
on like Refinery 29 or some like major on Instagram was talking all about like everything you're doing wrong when you shave, and that was the biggest thing. And I was like, mind blown. And then my husband acted like,
Oh
duh.
my gosh.
Like everyone knows that. And I'm like, I don't think
Okay,
so. Like
it's so weird because
Right?
I actually kind of knew this. Like, I've shaved parts of my body.
Oh, for sure. Like
and
bikini line, you go
bikini
with the
line,
hair.
You go with the hair, but why would we not do that on our legs?
They're so resilient.
I've never.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's because it's just like we assume
I've
it's just
never
like
thought
It's so
Yeah.
different.
It would be
I
harder to go
know.
down. Like
It
how,
is
right?
hard to go
Oh.
down, and I don't feel like it does as good of a job.
But do
Yeah,
you know what
it's
I
not as
feel like it
close.
looks like when you go down? A freaking shaving your legs commercial for like shaving cream because they always like we see it like that. They always do it like that on the
Right.
ads.
Oh, yeah,
But like
good
I've
point.
never thought to do it. That
Me
actually my mind
neither.
is blown too.
But
I'm
it's not
so
as
happy.
it's not as close of a shave you're saying though.
No, I feel like I have to go over it way more times. But it's also a good point because I feel like growing up and even still, like my girlfriends will take so long shaving, and I can do it in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought
Now I
don't
think
know.
I understand why.
Do they shave down? Have they known this forever?
I literally have. I've been like mulling over it in my head since this happened. This was like 3 days ago.
I really want to hear
So
from
I
our
haven't talked to
listeners.
anyone.
I know. I feel like we need to do like a
We need to do a
poll.
poll
I
in the
don't
Facebook
think I'm going
group.
to change the way I shave my legs.
I probably won't either.
Like-
I might try it.
If it takes longer, like I'm just probably not.
But like,
gonna
what
do
are the
it.
benefits of going that way instead?
I guess like
right?
yeah, less
suppose
nicks
razor
and
burn.
stuff, but also like
Oh.
30 years plus into our lives, like I feel like I don't really nick myself often.
Yeah, like I would
anymore.
probably I nick myself often.
I
shave my
I
kneecap
definitely.
like right off probably.
Oh yeah, kneecap or like outer
shin.
ankle.
Yeah.
Oh, the worst.
I mean, but the
I hate
knee
the
is so
ankle.
hard already. So then I feel like it just makes
Upside
it.
down. We're all gonna have like cut up legs from trying this new technique because we're not gonna be good at it.
I'm sorry, but I'm also glad I'm not alone.
No, you're
No,
not.
I
alone.
had no idea. But like Donnie said, like
bikini.
line,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
that, but I've never thought about that for legs.
Right.
Ever.
It's crazy
Oh my
that
gosh.
we did not put that together though. Like that is such a disconnect.
We're so pretty.
I was gonna.
So pretty.
Cheers, ladies.
Cheers to that. We're so pretty.
Pretty.
My family says that to me a lot.
My sister says that to me, and she strokes my head.
Does she?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine too. Stop it.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to say it to her the other day, and I was so happy about it. I'm never letting her live it down.
Okay, Boss Babe Crush.
Yes.
I am going to use my book club, which is a group of boss babes, and we're actually talking about maybe doing like a book club podcast.
Cool.
Which I think is kind of a cute concept.
Yeah.
People can follow along with what we're doing, but it is really such a powerhouse of women doing like running cool businesses. Some are like influencers, some are entrepreneurs, but it's really like a powerful group for me to like share ideas with these girls. And honestly, it's a book club, but it's really a drinking club, disguised as a book club. But anyways, they are my Boss Babe crushes, and I will link
That's
them
awesome.
in this episode because they all deserve for you guys to take a peek at them.
Yeah.
I love that.
Totally. Hunty.
So mine are the babes behind Love Powered Co. Which is like a new, it's like an Instagram, and then also they have these daily affirmation cards that we've been like obsessed with at the office.
Oh yes.
And so we pull a card, and it kind of gives you like the spiel on like an important word, like let's say like grateful. And so then it kind of like says something about that, and then you're supposed to say why you're grateful, or like name a time where you were grateful. So I feel like
You
it's
guys
kind
do
of
this every day at the office?
Yeah, we've been trying to.
Notice I don't know this.
We've
because I haven't
done
been
it.
there. I've been in
I
Cabo.
wouldn't say every day, but we definitely make.
Yeah.
And I think
That's
that
such a powerful
sometimes
thing
it's
to do
like
as a
not
group.
very serious. Remember one day you brought it up and I like went all deep about it. I can't even remember what the question was and everyone else was joking and I was like, no, stop and answer the question. Like you don't get to get
Exactly.
away from being vulnerable.
Yeah.
I tend to take it intense, but
You need a balance, right?
So they sent me the daily ones too, and then they sent me a box for kids affirmations.
Yeah.
I actually haven't even opened them yet, but
Yeah.
I'm so excited to do it with my kids because that's something I'm teaching, trying to teach them to practice.
Yeah.
Like if they say something negative, if they're acting really like ungrateful, I'll make them stop and say like 5 things they're grateful for.
I love that. Dan makes me stop if I'm feeling like discouraged or frustrated and he does that to me. He's like, Kate, 5 things you're grateful for. I'm like, oh, right now?
Hold each other accountable. In the moment when you get called out, it's so annoying because you're like, shut up. But like I did it to Ev the other day and I was like, you have to do it.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm not doing it. Don't want to do it. And I'm like, you're doing it.
That's the
And
thing.
you
Your
don't do it if
mind
you
is
do
like
10.
so mad at you.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't want to do this right now. Everything's horrible.
Yeah.
But
It gets you out of that negative thinking though.
it
It's really
snaps you
powerful.
right away.
Yeah, totally.
So true. Okay, my boss babe. Boss babe crush. Oh my gosh. We all know who Selma Blair is.
Yeah.
Okay, she was recently diagnosed with MS.
Oh.
She showed up to the Oscars rocking the crap out of her cane and like had a full breakdown on the red carpet because I'm sure it was such an emotional experience for her. That was the first appearance that she had done in her kind of celebrity world since she was diagnosed.
Oh, I'm actually devastated.
I know. I get so emotional about it. I know people with MS. We all know people who are sick or struggling. So, but I just thought it was so beautiful that she showed up on the red carpet. She looked amazing. Like you should Google her. She totally pulled out all the stops. Had her cane, had a little breakdown, but the post that she wrote about how supportive all the photographers and the media was so heartfelt. Like we see such a bad end of photographers and paparazzi, but then the way she wrote about them and how they supported her was really emotionally charged. It was such a beautiful post. And she's talked really openly about her experience and her struggles on her Instagram. Like you can scroll through there and read. She talks about like the struggle of your mind and the thoughts that she's having and these different things. And I just really appreciate when someone can be honest and open about that. I mean, I've struggled with what's considered a physical disability since I was 14 and I have chronic pain, and it's not something that people want to hear about a lot. So I really appreciate when someone shares
you
about
just said
it.
what would be considered a disability because you don't see it as a disability on yourself.
Oh my gosh, I feel like after 20 years of dealing with something, you have to change your attitude about it.
Yeah,
I can't feel
just
sorry
love
for
that.
myself forever. But that's what she brings too, is she's like, right now, today, this is my truth, but I can gain back more mobility. I can do this and I can get, more of my life back. And I just so much respect for her.
We don't as human beings who like maybe have power or influence, if we don't share the hard things, like what are we trying to do? You know what I mean?
You can't walk around pretending you're perfect all the time. That just drives me crazy. And we all know that's the problem I have with Instagram.
Yeah.
And that's why I think so much for me, I had such mad respect for her when I was reading her be so open. And she's like, I don't care if you unfollow me. I'm going through this. So is someone else. We're going to connect about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. She's amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I'm going to take it all serious. Katie, who's your boss babe crush?
So I've been totally crushing on Allie Webb, who's the founder of Dry Bar.
Yes.
And they're launching Squeeze. Have you heard about that?
No.
Cool.
You guys, this is so
What's
cool.
Squeeze?
So I think it's just in LA to start, but it's basically like same kind of concept as Dry Bar, but for massages.
Oh.
So everything is like
Oh,
done.
Squeeze. That's so cute.
Yeah, right? So
Oh my
everything's done like
gosh.
on the app. So you can pay on the app, you can book your appointments on the app, and you
Love
basically
it.
just like pop in, get your massage, pop out. Like so you
So
can do
cool.
it like
Squeeze
on your
right
time,
Please
right?
come to Greater Vancouver.
I know. I mean, if it's anything like Dry Bar, it's going to be everywhere. But I just think like she has done such an incredible job taking something that would have so easily been just passed off or a thought that you could be like, okay, well, like, who's gonna like this? This is dumb. Like, I just think it's one of those ideas, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna blow dry people's hair and like make it convenient, that so many people could have just looked down to or not thought was going to be that big of a deal. And she's made it a thing.
They built a brand.
Yes.
They built a brand. They have products. They have like merchant. Like they have built a brand.
And they're everywhere. And it's so simple. And I think it's so interesting because I look at it a lot like with the fitness industry and what we do too. But it's one of those things that it's so simple, but it's so impactful. And people obviously are obsessed about it. Like not just with the brand, but then just what they do and the accessibility of it and the price point, like everything. So it's
You know
just
what I
genius.
think she's kind of done is given us permission for that to be a luxury that's okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like it's okay for you to get a blowout regularly.
Yeah.
Let me make it convenient for you.
Yeah.
It's okay for you to get a massage whenever you want one. Let me make it more convenient
Absolutely.
and accessible.
Yeah, and I think that's
I
so
like that.
empowering for women. Just
Yeah.
all of that, and like to feel
gives you
beautiful and do
permission
those
to
things.
feel
yes.
beautiful.
And I think that that's so great.
Oh yeah, I love
so
that.
like
I
as
didn't know
an
about that.
entrepreneur, as a woman, like everything, I'm just like, she's awesome. Like she's just doing
I
it.
have not heard about that,
Yeah.
but Squeezed, I'm gonna follow them. That's so
Yeah.
neat. That's a great crush. Donnie, what's one thing you're working on improving this week?
Not super deep, but my wine rack is installed at home.
Oh.
And now I have to fill it. So
Your wine rack in the middle of your
in the middle of my house.
house
Which-
with all the windows.
Okay, did I share all the challenges with the wine rack with you guys?
You have shared a little, and you were
Yeah.
talking about how halfway through you were like, why did we put a wine rack in the middle of a house full of windows?
It's like a glass house. My house is like a glass house. It's all windows. It's very modern, and like right in the middle of the house, we have this like it's basically a glass box that's like a wine wall.
Oh, wow.
12-foot wine
It's
wall.
beautiful.
It is
Beautiful.
But
It's such
warm.
a piece. So we literally had it installed. We looked at it, and somebody said, "You know that the sun will ruin wine." And you were putting all your wine in a glass box. Like
In the
what
middle of a
the
glass
hell are you
room.
doing? We were like, oh shit. Like it was a major oh shit moment.
Oh yeah, because you wouldn't have thought about it before. It was just a beautiful design feature.
Totally. And it is a beautiful design feature.
It totally is.
But swerved, and you can get UV coating for your glass.
Oh,
That is completely clear. It's like kind of like a car tint. Think about it, but it blocks out 99.9% of sun rays.
Oh,
Perfect.
A and B. So you are UV rays. So it totally protects the wine,
Amazing.
and I'm fine. And it's kind of like just doesn't really exist what we have. So it's kind of like one off and really cool.
Yeah.
But it's totally empty because usually like wine comes in and wine gets consumed. And then it's gone. So I need like 300 bottles of wine. So I'm like, should I go to the Okanagan and like do wine tasting? It's like an exciting venture that I'm like, need to like, what do I want? Do I want more Pinot Noir?
Yeah.
Do I want Malbec? Do I want
And you should buy a few to put on the top that need to sit for a few years.
Totally.
Yeah.
And like Ev's all like, how are we going to organize it? And we're going to have like what we can't just like, you know, have a couple bottles and then reach for like $100 bottle of wine. Like, how are we going to do this that we're like, I think you need to put them up high.
Yeah, the ones that need to cellar for a bit up
Yeah.
high.
Yeah.
Can I join you?
Yeah.
Oh, my parents had a wine cellar in their last house, and they had tags that go around the neck, and you can date it and write on it like when you're supposed to open it.
Okay, that's such a cute idea.
And they're really
I need
cute.
a system. I need a little bit of like a wine system.
So it has like a little teeny elastic. It's really neutral colored. You just pop it over and you write on it when you should open it. Or you can, if it's a gift, you could write on who it's from or whatever.
Yeah.
But they labeled their wines that needed to be cellared for a long time, because how can you ever remember when you got it?
Well, also like you need to somehow have a system of like, you know how you have like your like, you know, your easy drinking wines that are like, you know, less expensive, and then you have like your more like special occasion wines. But like you want to know what you're drinking
Totally.
when you're drinking it. You don't want to like slam back $100 bottle and think that, you know.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever done that where you're like totally confused about the price of wine? I've
No.
like ordered
No.
at a restaurant thinking it was like a $50 bottle, and it was a $400 bottle. Oh my god! And we drank it, and I was like, we were in a hurry, so we were like, you know, we both had a couple glasses of wine. We were meeting people, and he's like, "That's a really nice wine for like picking like this." I think I picked like the second least expensive wine.
Oh boy.
And then the bill comes, and he's like, "Yeah, you didn't pick the second least expensive wine. You picked like the most expensive wine." And I'm like, "Shit."
I usually go for the $20 bottle.
Yeah.
At the most.
But at restaurants, like a $20 bottle is a $50 bottle, right?
Oh yeah, 60 maybe.
So I think I planned bit like a $50 or $60 bottle, and it was $400. I made the mistake.
Oh,
Oh, boy.
jeez.
Follow along my wine journey.
Oh, that's so funny. Hunty?
I'm working on, so I'm kind of like a creature of habit a little bit. I don't know if you know that
No,
or
I
not.
didn't notice that.
So I'm kind of working on like branching out a little bit, maybe doing some things that are different, kind of expanding my horizons.
Like with work or with like personal?
Just, I feel like everything. I get like caught up doing the same thing for so long.
You should like switch your routine.
Yeah,
up.
like, basically that.
I
I
like
think
that.
It's always good to keep it like fresh and changing, and even like push yourself outside your comfort zone, right?
Yeah,
Create
totally.
new challenges.
It's good, like pick one thing a week. Like for a while, because I feel like I made the same recipes all the time, so I'd pick like one new recipe. I'm like, at least once a week I'm gonna do something different. So if you're like one thing,
Yeah, like one step at a time.
then
a little
it's
bit more
like
manageable.
Yeah, yeah.
You could even make a question on the podcast, like one new thing I've tried that's like what you did to step outside your
fun.
comfort zone. That's kind of a good challenge,
Yeah.
because then you're forcing yourself every week to do that.
So maybe I should just personally do that.
You should, yeah. I'm not. I'll think about doing that for the
You
next
just hold
3
me
months and
accountable.
journal about it. I'll try new recipes all the time.
Yeah.
One thing I want to work on improving is my energy. Just as hormonal battles lately, my energy's been so low, and I've felt like the afternoon slump really hardcore. So I really want to get that. I want to nail that. I want to lock that down and get a little bit more. Just figure out what's causing that afternoon slump. So I don't know how I can work on that, but I'm going to
start
Google.
drinking in the day.
Just day drinking all the time. I feel like that's
You'll
a
be slumped
surefire
on
way
your
for a
desk.
4 o'clock nap.
Maybe you just have a nap. Just own it right there.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I'm going to work on my energy in the afternoons and get that sorted.
She who is drinking sake out of her water glass right now.
I literally dumped my water so
the
that
sink.
I could pour sake. I got another water glass.
Yeah, so you're still hydrated. It's fun.
Katie, what are you working on improving this week?
Right now, this week especially, prioritizing my time. I know we talked about like we're getting ahead, which is great, but I feel like, and I'm sure you can all attest to this, like especially as like an entrepreneur, there are so many things that need your attention, and most of them need it like right now. And it's really easy to get stuck in the weeds and just end up like spinning. So my biggest thing, like as we're getting ready for a lot of like new content shoots and our app launching and all sorts of things, it's just like really prioritizing and focus my time on what actually really needs it, because I feel like everything needs it, but it doesn't. So yeah,
So true.
We were actually just talking about it before you came in, about like being really mindful about like if we don't actually need something, or if it's not really serving us, we should drop it. We should not do that. Like one of our podcast guests before talked about areas of bleed in your business, and just like being able to address those really easily and quickly, so that you don't waste time.
absolutely, yeah.
It's the only resource we just don't have enough of.
It's the hardest thing too, and then I feel like then you get stuck thinking like, but how do I have time to figure out what needs, like all of that.
Right,
You're like,
exactly.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just a daily mindset of like being present and aware.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I like that. Okay. Let's talk more about you, Katie.
Okay.
Tell us about who you are. Tell us a little bit about Love Sweat Fitness too, and just that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So Love Sweat Fitness, like as you mentioned, is a women's fitness and lifestyle community, and it really started to grow on Instagram. That was kind of my first platform, and I started on Instagram just sharing my transformation photos and a lot of like workouts and recipes as a place for mostly girls that were taking my classes to be able to come, so I wasn't texting 20 people a day with a little like inspos and encouragement.
So you were already a fitness instructor at that time?
Yeah, so it started teaching about a year before I started on Instagram, and that was after going through like a major like lifestyle change. So I had dealt with weight issues, body confidence, insecurities like my entire life. And weight had really gotten out of control post-college. So I'd gotten to like the heaviest I'd ever been, but more than that, just truly the most unhealthy mentally and physically and emotionally, and hit like a breaking point where I felt like I had tried everything that I could possibly try and nothing had worked, nothing stuck. And so I really decided at this point, like, this might be the body I have for the rest of my life, and I have to accept that and love it, and by loving it, like, take care of it. And that's where I think I really like shifted my focus, is focusing on feeling good mentally and physically, and then just seeing what happened from there and making those changes that would allow me to feel good. So as I did that over time, like miraculously, like when you're actually taking care of your body and you're nourishing it well and you're moving it regularly, like things change. And so, yeah, I lost 45 pounds and really just fell in love with that whole lifestyle. And more than that, I think I started realizing if I had gone through all of that, there were definitely other women that were going through that. I had girlfriends that were going through similar things. And I think really shifting and finding that ability to focus on feeling good rather than losing a certain amount of weight. And then realizing like there was light at the end of the tunnel, like it could happen. I wanted to share that. And so that's really where the teaching came from. And I had been teaching in other capacities, not in fitness. So it was a really like natural transition for me. And I just fell in love.
The thing that I love about what you said is how you change your mindset about your body instead of like loving the body that you have for the rest of your life, because it is the body you have for the rest of your life. And I have to like, it's something I think about is like how much does that actual mindset and loving your body help it physically look better and improve?
Absolutely. I mean, it definitely does. And I think that was the hardest thing. And I always tell women, I wish that there was like a way I could just like help them like flip that switch, like, and make that happen where they can
have that
change.
realization.
Yeah. But it is a very like deeply personal thing. And I think that it comes from a lot of self-talk and like looking at yourself. And like for a long time, like I don't think I believed it, but I said it and I told myself like, I love this body and I'm going to take care of it. And we're good. But you know, it's kind of manifesting that. So I think as you say it enough and you tell yourself that enough and you treat yourself that way, then it becomes your truth.
Yeah. Your inner self can't tell if what it's hearing is a lie.
Yeah.
It can't distinguish from a lie from the truth.
Right.
It's like a way more profound version of fake it till you make it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's some
And
truth
then-
behind that.
I think there's a lot of truth about what just like thoughts and physical words can the effect it has on like our cellular health.
Absolutely.
It's like every cell in our body
Yeah.
and how it responds to that.
Yeah. And that, I think I really did need to have that mental shift absolutely for any of the rest of it to happen and change. And that was the most impactful thing. And I think that is what allowed me not only to make those changes and be committed to, you know, making myself feel better and figuring out what that meant and how to do that, but then also now to be able to help inspire other women to do the same and realizing like, again, like I truly did get to a point where I accepted that body. Like this was it. Even if it never looked any different, like.
How did that moment look for you? Like, was that like a surrender or was it just like where were you at in life when that moment happened?
Yeah. So it's so interesting. I think that like, there was this period of time where I like literally was like going to the health food store and like getting every pill you could find that was like not only a diet like metabolism pill but one for mood, because I was like self-diagnosing as like depressed, and I knew the way I was acting, the things I was doing, my behaviors like weren't me, they weren't normal, and that was really challenging to face. And I always say the moment was really, my dad is like the sweetest, kindest man in the entire world. He and I have an incredible relationship, and I came home one day and I have no idea what he said. I'm sure it was something normal and nice, and I like lost it. Like lost it on him. Like it was horrible, and he just sat there like loving and kind and just encouraging. And I think that was like a moment where I realized like this isn't me, like, and this has got to change. And so that's really where it started.
Wow.
That is kind of profound. Because I think for some people, it's a little bit more of a journey to discovering that, but to have that huge moment where you're like, oh.
It's like you snapped.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, in a way,
absolutely.
for
Like,
sure.
yeah, snapped, rock bottom, like, and, you know, it's so interesting because it still became that journey of like having to actually then discover what that meant and how to reconcile those feelings and what to do with that all. But yeah, that I think was the moment that I really realized like, okay, I'm done. Like, all this stuff is done. I can't do it anymore.
So at that point, what was the actual change? Like, how did your daily life change after that moment?
Yeah, so that was where like, you know, everything I'd done in the past was like restrictive, cutting things out of my diet, insane workout regimens for like, you know, however long I'd last, a week or two, and then nothing for months. So I knew that was kind of all out and wasn't the way to do it anymore. So I started with like committing to 10 minutes a day. So I was like, if all I do is move for 10 minutes, I don't care what it looks like. It could be a walk. I could do some crunches. Like, I didn't know what I was doing, really. I didn't really play sports, like hit or miss, but never like a long term growing up. So, I mean, I literally didn't know what I was doing. So I had some DVDs like Tai Bo and, you know, Pilates stuff.
Tai Bo.
Yeah, Tai Bo.
Oh my gosh, I remember
It was my
Tai
jam
Bo.
for a while. So I was just like 10 minutes, that's all. And we're going to start there. And so like setting these little micro goals. And the cool thing is like, I quickly realized that like, if you show up for 10 minutes, you usually show up for longer. And it builds and grows. And so that's like now with Love Stuff Fitness, we have like free daily, our LSF Daily 10, which is like a 10-minute workout. And that's kind of like the starting point, because I feel like that's truly what had the biggest impact on my life, and being able to actually build those new habits was committing to that first. And then instead of restricting stuff from my diet, I focused on adding stuff in, like more veggies, filling my plate more with the good stuff. And that slowly kind of transitioned to less of the bad.
I love that, because there's only so much.
Yeah.
And I really resonate with that. Donnie and I shared a look when you said 10 minutes
I
a
was
day,
like,
because that's something we've talked about a lot. I've always, when we talk about goals and like trying to change a habit, I've always really believed that you have to set yourself up for that success. You can't go into the new year, and this is what bugs me about resolutions, is people go into the new year being like, I'm going to totally change this and totally change that.
Yeah.
You can't hit that.
No.
That should be your goal for the end of the year.
Yeah.
But what I like is I would rather set a whole bunch of really small goals. Like you were saying, your goal was 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
That's a fairly small, attainable goal. If you miss it one day, you're like, okay, there's tomorrow.
Right.
But 10 minutes is like achievable. Your brain is like, I can do this.
Yeah.
But then it sets you up to have such a win. So then after you're like winning at that 10 minutes, you're so motivated. You feel like you're amazing.
Yep.
And then you can go on and do 20 minutes or whatever the next thing is.
Yeah.
But you've got to give yourself a success. Like you have to make such a small goal that you can crush it and you feel so great about yourself.
Totally.
I just also like, I'm really like at a stage where I'm not willing to be restrictive anymore. Like I want to eat what I want to eat, and I want to. So I think focusing on nourishment and nourishing your body instead of like, that's all I can do. Like I can't be super competitive about my working out. I haven't been working out at all, but I do like veggies, and I have no problem saying like I can have like I'll make like extra sides of veggies at dinner instead of like other things.
Yeah, no, that's so smart. I mean, I worked at a wine bar at the time, so I was like, well, I'm not giving up wine. I like stopped drinking a whole bottle a night maybe, and like have a glass, you know, like that kind of stuff. But
attainable goals.
Yeah, and I think to your point, like that's like a question I get asked so much is like, how did you stay motivated? Like, how do you get all of that? And the least motivating thing ever was with those times where I was like, I need to lose 15 pounds because like when I didn't do it in a week or two, I'm like, what's wrong with me? And I like gave up on everything. So to your point, yes, those small attainable goals where you can have those little wins
gives you
that's
confidence.
what gives you motivation. Yeah.
Yes.
Motivation doesn't just like happen.
No.
That's the determination that gets you there, and then you get motivated and inspired to keep doing more.
You get motivated because you kind of get pumped up. You feel so great about yourself. You get some confidence. That's where your motivation comes from.
Absolutely.
You've got to set up those wins along the way.
Yes.
Oh, I love that you that's how you work. That's so cool. I'm all about that. And you have shared some of your own struggles. Do you want to talk about the thyroid?
Yeah, for sure. So when I was 11, I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism, and it was very weird for my family and for me because no one in my family had ever had that. And often when you're that young, it's genetic. So it's like very common that could happen, but we had no clue what that meant or looked like. So it kind of started with like headaches, hair falling out, a lot of like lethargic, like a lot of those type of symptoms, and went through about 6 months of blood work and things before I was finally diagnosed. So fast forward, most of high school and college, that was a really great crutch for me. Now I can realize that that's what it was for a long time, being like, oh, well, it's my hypothyroidism. Like that's why I can't lose weight, or that's why I'm gaining this weight, not like eating burgers at 3 a.m.
Not the
and
burgers.
I'm drinking all night, you know. Like,
Couldn't be that. Of course it's not that.
Yeah.
No way.
I'd like work out a little bit, be like, see, it doesn't matter. Like, you know. So that's something like I've been on medication most of my life. And then for a period of time, I tried going off medication and just fully nourishing my body and trying to take supplements to see if I could balance it out on my own. And it didn't really work so well, and I kind of went downhill fast. So this last year or two has actually been probably the hardest since maybe when I was like first diagnosed, because my hormones have been all over the place. You were talking about feeling that like afternoon slump and that fatigue a lot lately. And that, like, the last year I've dealt with that so hardcore. Like, I don't know what is going on. I've been getting my blood work done every couple months, and it's just been all over the place. Testosterone levels, like, plummeting, just weird stuff. And so I think that that's been very challenging, like, obviously as a health and fitness professional, wanting to be able to figure out what it is and figure out like what supplements I can take and all the things naturally that I should be able to do to balance that just aren't quite working. So that's been a hard struggle. But I think what's been so incredible is, like, you know, shared my weight loss story and constantly sharing all of that with the community. And when I finally, I don't know why I didn't really feel like the need to talk about it until I guess I started really struggling with it again. But when I did on YouTube, the response was like insane. The amount of women in the community that have recently been diagnosed or have symptoms similar, that have questions, like, it's been so amazing to watch, like, the outpour of communication happening and really connectivity of the community girls, like with me, but then also with each other, like finding each other through those videos and being able to like share experiences. Because I think it's one of those things that's really challenging because a lot of the symptoms aren't visible. It's like hormonal and, you know, like hair falling out and brittle and like all these things that, like, depending on the severity might be noticeable, but for most part they're not. And so it's really hard, you know, for my husband even to understand when I sleep for 9 hours and I'm still like exhausted. And that's challenging to try to figure out how to talk about.
It's hard to measure because you can't really understand it from the surface.
Absolutely.
And I feel like also we really want to put a label on something. First of all, personally, it's nice to be like, okay, this is what the problem is and here's how I can fix it. But also other people want to see, because otherwise they're just like, oh, like, is this a real thing?
Right.
Like, do you have something going on?
Yeah.
Or is it just like whatever?
Yeah.
They want to see a label put on it so they can understand it and cope with it better.
Absolutely.
But I think a lot of people are uncomfortable walking through that gray area and the lack of knowledge around it.
Yeah, and it's hard, and I think it can, especially with hypothyroidism, but any thyroid things, because there are so many levels of what it can look like and how severe the symptoms can be, and because it's so hormonal, like, it can change constantly.
So quickly.
But it's like if you break your leg, you can see that. It's
Yeah.
tangible.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
can like have more empathy and like patience with yourself because of that. But when your hormones are off, we can't see that.
Totally.
So it's harder to give yourself a break. So you're like, oh, why am I being lazy?
Right.
Or, you know, there's all these negative ways to interpret it as a person, which just magnifies the problem.
Yeah, and then trying to understand like what normal, like quote unquote normal is. Like, is this what a normal person feels like? Is this level of tired normal? And I'm just like thinking it's more. I don't, you know, like you start like going through all those
run
questions.
through the scripts in your head.
Like,
Oh yeah.
After you have a baby, the first time you like sleep through the night, or like the first, like after like a week, you're like, whoa, you feel good.
Yeah.
And it's like you didn't know 2 weeks prior how to even compare that or how tired you actually were until you're like out of it.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because there have been a couple days where I wake up and it will be that day where I'm like, I feel so good right now, like well rested, whatever, but it's rare. And you know, you still go through the day and it's still like positive and stuff.
It's not until you're better that you notice how sick you were.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. What a journey. And do you share that with your followers more?
I do, yeah. So I like share as much as I have updates. I share updates on YouTube and then on Instagram. Cool. And then also just like when I'm having those days where I just feel like crap. Like there's days I just feel like garbage. And you know, for me, like it's really important to always really, because it's just who I am, to have like a positive light on everything and like to try to still be encouraging through that.
Yeah.
Because I need that for myself as much as like I know other people need it, but I always want to be very like real in what I'm talking about and not like sugarcoat it. But then because I am still the one that's going to be like, but here's the positive, like let me tell you like how it's going to turn around or why it's okay, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I try to be like a balance of both.
I find that some people, we talked to someone a while ago who shared something a little bit personal and she lost a ton of followers. Do your followers respond positively to this?
They do, yeah.
That's good.
It's one of those things, they actually respond so positively where I wish I had more to talk about it sometimes. I'm like, but I'm like, well, I only know so much, or like I'm only going through so much. So as I get like new results or get stuff, then obviously like I will share it. But yeah, they're super positive about it. It's really neat because this community is, I mean, I'm like on Instagram and YouTube, like in the 90% female, and they all follow. And I think the cool thing is like they all follow because they want to be inspired and they want to feel connected, and they want to be able to share experiences. And so yeah, like that, any of that realness, anything related to health is like really topical, which is great.
That's so great. And I know something that you talk about on social is being your best self and not comparing yourself to others.
Yeah.
What tips do you have for people to follow through on that?
Yeah, you know, it's probably one of the hardest things because we're just, as women, I feel like it's, I don't know how we don't do it. Like, it's really hard not to do it, but I think that there's a big difference between recognizing like differences or recognizing maybe where someone's at and genuinely being inspired by that, and then the flip side of that being like devastated and like comparing yourself and feeling like you're not good enough or not far enough. And I think through my own journey I really realized that like everyone's circumstances and experiences are so unique. Like no matter where you are at, no matter where you're starting from, no matter how far you've come, like it's not going to look the same for anyone. And so I think the biggest thing is like we go back to like the self-talk thing, like really being able to recognize those moments when you start to compare and start to feel that way, and being able to stop yourself. And whether you need to give yourself a little pep talk about like how far you've come or remind yourself of that, like whatever you need to do that's going to kind of like almost build your ego back up, rather than tearing someone else's down, I think is extremely important.
It's almost about taking yourself away from whatever is causing that.
Yeah.
Maybe Instagram.
Maybe
shutting off the app for a minute.
Yeah.
And instead of what ends up happening, I think a lot of the times is we're looking at someone, and I can't remember who walked us through this cycle recently, but we were talking on a podcast that there's like this cycle. You go into like, first you're comparing, then you're like, oh, maybe I was reading it in a book actually. First you go into comparing, then the second phase is tearing the other person down, then the third phase is listing the reasons why you're better than someone, and then the fourth phase is just like you feeling like complete crap because none of it is true. All these thoughts you just like run through with yourself. So I do think that that's a valid point that you made, that instead of sitting there and trying to tear someone else down to feel better, like take a second away from that and feed yourself positively.
Yeah. And I think, you know, especially like now being like on Instagram and, you know, putting myself out there all the time and all of that, I think as a woman, like there are times I admittedly like I'll be scrolling through and there's someone who one day I'll be like, oh, she's so great and cute, and the next day I'm like, you know, like it just happens. Like it's so natural. And I think that the more you can really start to recognize that, I think the easier it becomes to remove yourself from it. But it's so important to be able to do that. And I think to take the time to dissect it sometimes and figure out why you're feeling that way that day. Like what else is going on that's causing you to
dig deep, ask some questions.
Dig a little deeper. But I think it's crucial for us to be able to constantly like build ourselves up, but also to like look at those other people and truly like figure out like what is inspiring us about them. Like why do we follow them in the first place? What are they doing that's making us feel that way? Is it because they're like killing it and like have all these amazing like projects coming out or whatever? Like cool, like what can you do then to like move yourself in that direction?
Yeah, it's like put it back on you. What's triggering you? What are you trying to tell yourself when you feel that way? Make it
do you want to be
yourself.
an entrepreneur? Then be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, what's the trigger?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so good. Can you tell us about what you have coming up?
Yes, so many exciting things. Okay, so we are launching our Spring Slim Down Challenge, as I mentioned, one of the ones we're ahead on, so excited. So that's a 6-week like free fitness challenge. And so one of the biggest things when I started Love Sweat Fitness was that like beyond anything, I wanted to make working out and healthy lifestyle like very accessible for everyone. So I've always done a ton of free content, like the free daily workouts, these giant free challenges. So that is one of the best ways for like women to get started in the community, and then also just as like these really fun moments that everyone gets psyched about. So that's coming up in the end of March. So that'll be really fun. And then we also are getting ready to launch our app, which has been like
So
our
exciting.
biggest
That is super
undertaking.
exciting.
I remember you guys said that on the call. I think that is so great.
Yes.
I love that.
It's going to be incredible. So it's fitness focused. So we do have our nutrition plans, but those will be online. But this one is all fitness focused. So it'll have a free component where you can get the daily 10 workouts. You can get all of the YouTube content there and all of the challenges. But then there'll be a full plan. So it'll be like videos that take you through, there's full length workout videos, and then like the kind of like the gift video images that take you through a plan every single day, every week, and it progresses. We have all levels, and then there's a really fun like gamification component because, as I talked about, motivation is so key for people. So there's a lot of fun things like where you can get badges and rewards and trophies just for like showing up every day, and to help like inspire you and stay motivated along the way.
Great. When does this come out?
Great question.
Yeah.
By the time
I want this app.
By the time this is live, I'm sure it'll be out. It's been the biggest undertaking of my professional career.
An app
my life.
is huge.
It's so crazy because everyone, for so long, was like, you guys should build an app. And I'm like, yeah, cool. And then like,
It's
when
so
you
hard.
do it, oh my gosh.
Are you building fully custom from the ground up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
That's
God.
a lot of work.
100%.
But you own it then. So
yeah,
that's,
we
I
own it.
love
It's
that.
been
I
like
love
a
that.
year in the making, and
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where like, okay, good, we're ready to go, and then there's like all these little things you don't think about until you actually are ready to go that happen. So it could be any day, you guys. I'm very excited.
Okay,
We're gonna watch out for that.
The app we want to try. the
Yes, I will
workouts.
send it to you as soon as
Okay.
it's actually live in the app store.
So
Sounds great.
excited to try
Yeah.
this. We'll share it with our followers as well.
Oh, awesome.
This is
So
really
your
cool.
workouts, do they all have to be done in a gym?
Absolutely not.
No. Okay.
Yeah, so that's part of the accessibility. Like my biggest thing was like fun, fast, effective. Like you can do them at home, minimal equipment. So everything can be done completely at home. If you want to do it at the gym and like add bigger weights and all of that, you totally can. But most of the beginner ones are mostly body weight, but then it goes into incorporating the booty bands and just like dumbbells. So
You can do
very-
I'm
so
gonna do
much
this,
with
guys.
booty
Like, I'm
bands.
not
Yeah.
going to do this.
My
Yeah.
my physio, she's more than a physio. She's created a full routine for me based on exactly what my body needs.
Amazing.
And it's all with my own body weight resistance
Yeah.
and bands.
I love it.
You can do so much with your own body.
Yes, and I've trained in every way possible. Like
Yeah.
I did like crazy like bodybuilding and stuff for a while.
Okay.
Like and
I can't picture that.
no, I know. Like not like I didn't like
Not you
I
sitting
didn't
in
go
front of us now.
competition style. Yeah.
Bulking season.
But I've tried it all, and I've always gone back to my consistent routine. Like I still follow my hot body sweat guides, which are the PDFs we have right now. That's what I do every day, and it's just that's what my body loves.
Well,
Like
whatever your body's doing is what I want my body to do. So
But also think about it. If you have to pack up a bag and go to the gym, that barrier to entry is a bit too hard for most people. If you can do it
like
in
you
your
lost
house,
me there.
right.
You lost me at go to the gym.
Yeah.
No, I get home from work and I put on my sweats and I do my workout there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go pack up the car and go somewhere else.
No, and then like the costs involved, the time
Yeah.
involved. Like I want to be able to work out if I'm traveling, like at home, like
Exactly.
wherever, at the beach. Like you literally can do it anywhere. And so that was really the goal with the app, is to still have that, because that's always been like my foundation. But then add the like really fun component too.
Yeah. I like what you say about traveling too, because even being here, I can do my whole routine here.
Yeah, it's so great.
I love that. I cannot
not.
wait to try this.
But you could.
My physio would kill me if I was not. I'm so excited for this to come out. Something we
you.
love to ask all of our guests is to share a piece of advice or a mantra that you're living your life by.
Yes. So my mantra, basically my entire life, is something my mom used to say to us over and over and over in all circumstances, and I try to tell everyone now, is to choose joy. And like everything I'm doing is just choose joy, because it is a choice. And I feel like, life and the craziness and work and everything else can really like get heavy and start to like make it easy to spiral into dark places.
And I love that, because I feel like some people think of happiness as like being like working towards it.
Yeah.
Like I just want to be happy, like not as a place that you are
Right.
now, but if you are choosing the things that literally just spark that.
Yeah.
Marie Kondo.
Sparks joy. I know. I was like, wait, she almost stole my saying.
Yeah, you should sue her for sure.
That's good.
But yeah, like you just do it.
Yeah.
Just like make those decisions. Like stop punishing yourself. Stop hating your body. Stop being mad at yourself for not doing enough. Like all those things that you're punishing yourself for, just go do something you like to do.
Totally. And we're breathing and living and experiencing this amazing life. So even like no matter what your circumstances are in the moment, like there's one thing you can find, even if it's just the fact that you are alive, that you can choose joy for. And so that, and then since we've talked about the other one, which is still about joy, is comparison is the thief of all joy. Those two have been like my biggest life mantras always.
That quote was actually in my head as you were talking about comparison. I was like, it brought that quote right to
I have
mind.
those
That's
two.
amazing.
I have a giant on my mantle, a giant choose joy, like piece of art, and then the comparison is the thief of all joy is like all over my house.
We all, you know, from time to time get fixated or competitive, and you seeing what other people are doing. It's like the basis of social media, right there. It's right in our face. But if every time you feel that, you brought it back to you and improving yourself in the way that you wanted to improve yourself, I mean, we'd all be better off.
Yeah. It takes conscious effort for sure. Like, and it's, I think, a learned skill you have to be really like cognizant of, but we can do it.
Yeah. I like that.
So true.
I like your
Katie, share with our listeners where they can find you online.
Yeah, so everything is Love Sweat Fitness. So the blog is lovesweatfitness.com, YouTube, Love Sweat Fitness, Instagram, Love Sweat Fitness. Yeah.
So nice and easy. I love it.
Easy. Yep.
So everybody go follow Katie. And pop on over and follow us as well on social at Style for the PRIV and at PRIV Talks podcast. You can feel free to subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and tell us how much you like us in a review. Shop our website with the code PRIV Talks for 20% off, and then hop into our Facebook group for inside scoops, events, giveaways, and so many more great things. Thanks for being here with us today, Katie.
Thank you all so much. It's so fun.
Thank you for getting over your fear to sit at this table with us.
The wine really helps.
Okay. I'm so happy.
Anytime. All right.